And joining us here at the CMN is Lisa Hendey. Great to see you, Lisa.
Hi, Doug. Great to be with you.
Stopping by our booth here
Thank you.
at EWTN, as we cover every year. And now you're an author, and what do you do in general? Well, you're a Catholic mom, I know that.
Primarily always a Catholic wife and mom. I am working all the time on new book ideas. I run the website CatholicMom.com.
Yeah, how did you get involved with writing? Did it start first as being a blogger?
It was an offshoot of the website,
Okay.
which started in the year 2000, so we're celebrating
Right.
16 years.
So you're one of the early adapters
I was a blogger before there were even bloggers,
Right,
really.
right.
So, but our website continues now with volunteers really from around the world.
And what about the blogosphere? We don't hear as much about blogs so much anymore. Has it changed? The environment, the landscape changed on the web?
Well, we're always on the cutting edge of technology in the church. So we had websites, and we had blogs, and now we're really into social media and using everything from Facebook to Instagram to even Snapchat now. I'm following a bunch of people at World Youth Day using Snapchat. So we're always using the latest trends. So we continue with the blog, but we evolve into new
But
spaces.
you still use old technology like writing books here.
Absolutely.
And the first one I wanted to talk about is the Catholic Mom's Prayer Companion, a book of daily reflections. Now, you've got this along with Sarah A. Reinhardt. Who's Sarah?
Sarah is my partner in many things, but she's my co-editor on this book, and we brought together a team of 81 other authors. Sarah's a wife and mom living in Ohio, 4 young children, and so she brings a slightly different perspective. And what this is a daily devotional, so 366, because we've got you covered for leap year.
I saw that, yeah.
366 daily devotionals that invite mom into a moment of quiet, to really consider the blessings in her life. And
well, one of the things that struck me was, it seemed to me, unless I missed it, some of these were written by men. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
We did want to bring in some men. We have some religious, a couple of single women too. It's called the Catholic Mom's Prayer Companion, but every woman comes to her faith from a different perspective. And we were really fortunate to bring in some folks like Mark Hart, Jeff Young, the Catholic foodie, and they bring a unique perspective, often a tribute to their wife and the service that she gives the family, but just a different voice as you find. So I wrote the first devotion for every month, but then my favorite parts are those that come after, and I've been praying with it, and it's just a real gift.
So is caffeine and chocolate a major component of your writing?
Always caffeine.
Yeah.
Chocolate only during non-fasting seasons.
Okay. Now you said this book is a labor of love. I mean, isn't every book a labor of love?
It is, but this book was a particular challenge because when you invite 81 writers to come together on anything and you try to organize it, it sounds great in concept, right? 81 people, but then just the mechanics of that, and you can see, this book is a hefty book.
Right.
So melding the perspectives, making sure people don't do duplicates, so everyday compliments, blending in not only the church calendar and liturgical seasons, but also some worldly, feasts that are in there and other kind of fun perspectives. So it was a lot of organization.
And that was your goal, really, as you say here, to have a mix of voices, perspectives, tones, and vocations.
Yes. And that's important, I think. In my family, I'm the eldest of 5. I have 2 younger sisters who are both women and mothers. Their lives are very different from mine. They both work full-time outside of the home. They have differing ages of children. One of them is the breadwinner for her family. And so their needs in a book like this are different from what mine might be. So we wanted to capture and create a resource that not only met them where they are, but then also created a community, as we're always doing with CatholicMom.com, a community of faith.
You say among a community of friends from around the world. I'm wondering, is the lack of community one of the great challenges for being a Catholic mother these days, or a Catholic wife?
It's ironic that we're in the world of Facebook and we're constantly talking about friends, and yet we feel isolated and lonely, and church should be a second home for us, a place where we come together and we feel that, that welcome. So that's what we're trying to create here, is a resource that brings women to prayer. Many times women are the ones who are struggling in Mass, they don't even hear the gospel because they're trying to
take care of the kids.
Yeah,
right.
So it's like in 5 minutes, really in 3 minutes, you can pick this up and know that you're praying with women around the world who have this in their hands, and we invite them to pray with and for each other, because I think that's how we're going to surmount some of the problems that are in today's world.
And is some of this because of these kind of daily things designed because of the limited amount of time people have to pray, or at least they believe they have to pray?
I think it's that they believe they have to pray, and the world is telling us that, in 15 seconds or less on a Snapchat, or your show is long form, but videos now are much shorter. So we're trying to reach people in a way that has maximum impact in a short amount of time. My goal with this would be that it would create a habit for them that would then lead them into daily scripture, into prayer of liturgy of the hours. If we can catch them here and remind them that if you start each day with prayer, that can build, your priorities for the day, and everything else goes so much more smoothly, we know, when we set to
and
prayer
certainly as Mother Angelica always talked about, the living in the present moment, so important. Now you have a quotation here from another mother, Mother Seton. Be attentive to the voice of grace. What did she mean by that, and why is that important in your mind?
Well, Mother Seton, certainly you look at her life and say, wow, there was somebody who faced some pretty big challenges in her life, and yet we know that she gave her devotion to not only her family, but to the church as well. So I think that that's reminding women to stop exactly where they are, and maybe that's in the midst of chaos and craziness, and to seek those few moments of silence that are going to give you the grace that God has for you to get through what He's planned for that day.
And so what's been the impact? How long has this been out?
It's brand new. We're so excited to be launching it here at Catholic Marketing Network. I've been praying with an advance of it for 2 months, and I can tell you that this is going to revolutionize the way that the women who have this book bring prayer into their life.
Wow, that's
I think it is a
hefty
very
goal.
I know, and I hope that it blesses the women, that it feels like a warm hug at the start of their day and an invitation into a sisterhood of Christ that will expand beyond the pages of these books.
Okay, very good. So that is the Catholic Mom's Prayer Companion Book of Daily Reflections. Okay, that's the first thing. We also wanted to talk to you, since you're a myriad author here of multiplicity. The Stranger at the Manger is one of the books of something called the Chime Travelers, and this is the 5th edition. So this, I'm assuming, is a kid's book.
It's a children's book, really aimed at ages 7 to 10, but we have families reading them aloud at early ages and junior high kids reading them. It's a series based around fictional characters, Patrick and Katie Brady, who are twins who time travel into the lives of different Catholic saints. And in the first 4 books, they visited with St. Patrick, St. Kateri Tekakwitha, St. Francis of Assisi, and St. Clare of Assisi. And here in book 5, we have them chime traveling together, chimes as in the many bells used in our churches, like the Angelus bells, into the moment of the Nativity. And so they are immersed in following along the path to Bethlehem to the Nativity.
Why do you think children are attracted to those kinds of approaches to things? Even adults in many ways, movies about time travel are very popular.
I think the device is interesting in this perspective because it invites a kid who may not know the term Lectio Divina to enter into a prayer experience in a way that fully immerses them into that moment, to imagine themselves as though they were there along the path to Bethlehem. They find the donkey that carries Mary. They help find the room at the inn. They, journey to the presentation at the temple. So they're right there immersed in the story. But, to tell you the truth about this series, our saints are the greatest superheroes ever. We love superhero stories, and the opportunity with these books is to help keep kids reframe. It's not a dusty holy card that they see.
Right.
It's a real story of a real person who faced challenges, and then our contemporary characters are dealing with issues in their own lives, like bullying or body image issues, things that kids nowadays have to face. Too much screen time, envy about a friend who is better socially situated. So the stories meld together to create a message that's fun.
Okay, and in the travel, they get some insights into how to deal with that in their daily lives.
My message when I talk to kids is that we're all saints in the making. So they can look at the life of this saint, and we look at a particular moment in the saint's life, and sometimes that saint had challenges too. Saint Patrick dumped into the middle of a sheep field. Right. How did he sustain a prayer life in the midst of that, and find a conversion that led him to go on? But I think that the kids need to see that our church needs them, not in the future, but right now, that they're there to evangelize their families. And when I get a chance to go out and to meet with the kids that have read the books, it's so powerful to hear how they're
you
connecting.
do that as part of your outreach?
Yes. And I'm doing Skype visits to classrooms all over the country. Call me, it's free, teachers. I love to come in and talk about the saints and about the importance of reading and writing.
And what do you find when you do talk to the kids, that their either reaction to the material or the fact of what they're interested in, and does anything surprise you?
They're hilarious. First of all, they love the books and they notice every little detail. So we've tried to weave some little secrets in there for them. But then the thing that they want to know is, when is their saint going to be done in the series? They want to know, what were you thinking when you wrote this? They put the little pieces together, which as an author of fiction, you hope that they'll do that they'll make those connections with you.
Without giving a hint as to what you may be focused on, for what's one of the ones or saints that have been the most popular people have asked about that you haven't dealt with yet?
I always get, the kids always say their saint names, but there are some very popular ones. Many people want Saint Therese of Lisieux.
Okay, that makes sense.
And it's funny because when we did book number 4, which is Saint Clare of Assisi, I said, I don't know, St. Clare is not that exciting. She pretty much just prayed all the time. Boy, was I wrong. She has a very
I think Mother
exciting
Angelica
story.
had a different opinion of St. Clare.
Okay, so actually in book number 4, there is a very wonderful cat, and her name is Angelica, after Mother Angelica.
Okay,
so, and I believe, Mother Angelica will be a future Chime Travelers story, because we know she's on the path to sainthood. So. St. John Paul II,
yes,
we have to do his story at some point. So.
Well, let me ask you, because when you're going through things like this, like going back in time and dealing with people's lives, you have to be careful. You have to make sure you get it right. So do you have to do a lot of research for the stories?
I do, definitely a ton of research. And it's important because, you've maybe seen that movie, The 10 Commandments. How many of us thought that was the real story because we saw the movie? So we really need to pay attention to the original source material. So in book number 5, close readings of the infancy narratives.
So Moses didn't look like Charlton Heston, huh? No? Okay.
No, but I'm saying, we're forming ideas in our kids' minds, and so we want that to be accurate information, inspirational, but always true to the true source.
Well, let me ask you, in the series you've got, The Strangers at the Manger is the latest one then, the number 5. Which has been the most popular one so far?
I'd say definitely number 1, because most of the kids have read it, which is The Secret of the Shamrock about St. Patrick, and also number 2, The Sign of the Carved Cross about St. Kateri Tekakwitha. Okay,
very good. So let's ask a couple questions very quickly just before we go. On another book, I don't know when you're spending all your time writing this stuff, The Family, the Church, and the Real World. What's this book about?
This was a book that was done in anticipation of the World Meeting of Families. If you note, I wrote one chapter in this book. My portion of it really has to do with that idea of real world. What is it like in a real family to practice the faith? Our family is, we struggle, as many families do, but to try to give some pointers and perspectives for how to be domestic church in the
And I'm assuming
world.
This is still relevant even though World Youth Day was last year. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so people can look for that, and of course the latest Chime Traveler, The Strangers at the Manger, and other ones upcoming, as well as your latest release, The Catholic Mom's Prayer Companion, a book of daily reflections, of course, available through the EWTN Religious Catalog. Thank you, Lisa, for stopping by here.
Thanks for your
at
support.
Bookmark. Oh, no problem. And it wouldn't be a CMN without a visit from our good friend Donna-Marie Cooper O'Boyle.
Thank you, Doug.
Who's a prolific writer, a good friend of the network, and has been on the network many, many times. Great to see you.
Great to see you.
It's always fun to stop by the CMN when we come here and,
this is
and
my
to get
favorite.
to see you on location, talk about your latest books. You always got something. This one is Feeding Your Family's Soul, a Dinner Table Spirituality, and it's published by Paraclete Press, of course. Okay, so you've written so many books that have to do with Mother Teresa, a relationship with that, and a lot of things to do with Catholic moms.
Right.
You did that mini-series for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've done spots for us over the years as well.
Right.
So what is different about this? And is there something special now about food? There's a food network. We hear a lot more about eating together. How is that a Catholic thing?
Well, oh boy, how much time do we have?
Okay.
Because
a few minutes.
I know. So food, we need to sit down at the table and eat it. Stop eating all the fast food and run around at night, go into all these places. Parents have to, exercise their authority a little bit and make some set some parameters about, you know, times to eat. So we need to get the family back to the table if they've lost that art of eating together. And why not seize that opportunity while sitting at a table to teach the kids the faith, because a lot of parents feel like they don't have time.
Right, and we think about our Lord, obviously, at the Last Supper,
Yes.
and we can imagine how many times he taught the apostles at
the
table
table,
when they were
yes.
sitting there
That's right.
together, talking, whether they were literally with a table or just out
Right.
and about
Yes.
and eating dinner together and breaking bread. I
Right.
noticed that you have our great friend Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers.
Yes.
He put together the foreword here. He said, prayer is both the gift of grace and a response to God's invitation to covenant relationship in the family. Prayer allows families to walk humbly before God in the obedience of faith, to listen to the voice of God. So we all agree with prayer. How does
Yes.
prayer and that relate to getting together as a family to eat?
Well, you need to establish that foundation of prayer in the family. First of all, you know, teach the kids how to pray.
Foundation, he uses that and you talk about that a lot.
Yeah, that went right over my head. Yeah, so foundation, it's so
Right.
important to teach the kids that prayer is a beautiful conversation with God. It's not regimented, it's not forced upon them. It should be as natural as breathing. So we want to teach them to develop their own prayer lives, come together as a family and pray together. Mother Teresa always said, you know, a family that prays together stays together, like from Father Peyton.
Peyton said,
you know,
right,
you know,
yeah,
to
right.
sit, you know, to pray together and develop that foundation while they're young, because then later when they're out in that crazy world, everything's going to be thrown at them, and at least they have that foundation to hang on to, even if they veer
Right.
off the path.
Well, I'm wondering, I'm thinking about this in the terms, because he says feeding your family soul will help to create a joy-filled family spirituality that flows from the marriage covenant. Now, one of the
Yes.
things in Marriage Encounter, Terry and I learned, was the idea of married singles.
Yeah.
That you can be next to each other,
Right.
but on parallel paths, and you never really come together.
Right.
Well, it can have the same thing. Everybody can be sitting at the same dinner table,
Right.
but not connecting with each other,
Exactly.
especially in this age of social media, right?
Right. Well, we don't want them to bring their phones to the table, the kids or the parents.
Texting each other, please pass me the salt, right?
Right.
You say the prayer this week. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Well, parents, you know, mom and dad, they have that sacramental bond through the covenant of marriage. So they should call upon the graces of their sacramental marriage too. That's powerful. So we
Right.
got a lot going on in that domestic church, raising those little saints to heaven.
Right. Now, you grew up in a big family, right?
Yep, 8 kids.
Is that why family's important to you?
Maybe that's why, you know, God made me in a family. I was the 7th of 8 children, and things were crazy in our family sometimes, but my mother always made sure we came and sat down at the table
Right.
and ate dinner.
You said, it's been my deep desire to write this book for families to encourage them to create their own special memories and form a beautiful tradition, not allowing the demands from the culture and relentless schedules to dictate to them what they should be doing instead of having dinner together. And I think there's been a lot of studies to show
Yes.
how important
Absolutely,
that is
so many
to
studies.
really a child growing up
Right.
in a healthy environment, right?
Exactly. Even if you know, sitting down at a table together establishes so much in your child's life.
You know, you talk about Mother Teresa, and you mention her, and there's a great picture of you. I don't know how old you were.
Yeah,
when
well,
you
I was
took
pregnant.
that
I was
picture.
pregnant in that picture too. I made sure that it said that in the caption because, you know, I was
Well, your
a
hair
little
looked a
bit-
little different
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
too.
You know, during the pregnancy, it always used to get a
Oh,
little
is that
darker.
what it was?
yeah.
Okay. You said, our very first conversation was all about the family. Mother Teresa told me that my children were very fortunate to live in a family. She was accustomed to picking up abandoned
Yes.
children out of dustbins.
That was the first thing she talked to me about when I met her for the first time, was how important family is and how blessed my children, you know, were. And I said how blessed I was to have them.
And how love begins at home.
Yes, she was famous for saying love begins at home. Yeah. So don't think you have to run off and convert the whole world before converting your family, right?
Right, and she also, it was interesting, you think about her working with the poorest of the poor, certainly
Yes.
in India, and being someone who I'm sure fasted and held
Yes.
self-denial, but she thought food was important too, because
Yeah.
she said to you, with a sparkle in eye, you looked up to him and said to it, it was a priest who wanted to, Father Peter, that's what it was, tells the story, right? You won't be able to take care of the needs of those around you
Yes.
if you're not worried about your hungry stomach, if that's
If
what you
worry-
are worried
yes,
about.
Exactly.
Right.
So she made the point of, you know, you have to take care of your body, you have to take care of yourself to serve our Lord.
Right.
You know, don't fast so much that you're not.
And that goes not only for food, but for spiritual life,
Yes,
etc. If
exactly.
you don't have it and you don't have that spiritual
Yes,
energy,
right. You
you'll
need to
get run
nourish,
down. Right.
Nourish the faith in the children as the first and foremost educators. The parents are and the grandparents. So we need to nourish them.
Right. You also point out that many parents today feel stretched beyond measure. They've allowed their kids evening activities to take on a life of their own.
Right.
And the family dinners suffer. Even the idea that, some of the sports play on Sundays now and things like that, days like that, where it's gotten because of the old blue laws going away in a sense. It's like every other day.
I know. So parents, you want your kids to be well-rounded in everything, in the arts and sports, but you have to kind of get it down to a dull roar a little bit, otherwise you're not going to have any family time, and the kids grow up so fast, you're going to lose it all.
And then again, we have to look at them and realize, are we doing this because it's best for the kid to be well-rounded, or so that I can hold my head up at the PTA, or when I'm talking about what Johnny or Jill is doing.
Or have my own time while they're farmed out doing all these.
That's true too, yeah.
Because some parents will do it that way as well. Because they need some peace and quiet, so let's have the kids get into all this stuff.
So they're having all of these things.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound judgmental.
Well, I think everybody's different, and everybody has to, I guess, examine what their motivations are.
Exactly.
There's no blanket on anything that happens in life, And you talk about the idea of getting together, in a sense, as a family meal, being countercultural today. Something that 50 years ago was
sad.
A natural
it was just normal.
State of affairs,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. It was normal then, but now you've got to pull it back. You got to get the kids back to the table and make sure they're, communicating with the family instead of, like we said, on their devices or, running away to go watch television or play a game.
So why do I have to roll up my sleeves to read this book?
Well, you have to roll up your sleeves. That was just my way of saying, parents, are you ready? You want to roll up your sleeves? I'm giving you 53 lessons. You could do one, every week.
So is that by weeks, basically?
And the 53rd is an extra credit.
Okay.
I didn't want to leave out the angels, so I added an extra chapter. And everything's right there. It's very simple. Within 10 minutes time, you can get a faith lesson, reflection
So
questions.
you would use this material in this book actually if you had dinner every night or on Sunday night or
every
week,
Sunday
one day
or
a week
whatever
or
day
something,
works, whatever night works. And everything is there. And there's even recipes in this book for food.
And I would think also the idea is even if you can't get everybody together every night, you should certainly at least make sure you say there's one night a week we definitely have to eat as a family.
Exactly. And that's
regardless
kind
of
of
the
sad
schedules,
if it's only one night a week.
Right, but I mean these days.
at least one, but try to get more than that.
Right, and also, do you think part of it is also that parents don't expect their kids to do that?
I know, yeah.
And also because so much of the peer world is, there's so many broken families and things out there where their friends don't really have that experience.
And the thing is, even with broken families, this could really serve a single mother or a single father.
Right.
But I just want to mention quickly, you reminded me of a young teen that came into my home one time, and I was putting the silverware on the table for a lunch we were going to have, and she said, "Do you do that all the time?" And I said, "Oh, do what?" And she said, "I mean, you set the table and you're going to eat at the table, because at our house, I eat in front of the computer and my mom eats whenever she wants."
Right.
So I was praying, and right then I said a silent prayer, "Please, Lord, help to inspire this family to maybe come together at the table."
And I think what's good too is for us to reflect, because sometimes we think we're being compassionate or being understanding, kind of saying, like you said, well, he just should sit on the computer and do that, without realizing that a lot of children, though they don't say it,
they
appreciate that attention and the feeling like I'm important enough for you to make the time for us to be together.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
yes.
And the thing you said to me, which I didn't think about, was how much it can be the parent themselves saying, well, this works for me better anyway, because then I can kind of do what I want to do, rather than having to feel obligated to engage my son in a conversation he probably doesn't want to have.
Yeah, let's hope and pray. Let's pray for all those parents who feel that way, and pray for all the ones who are stretched beyond measure and don't know what to do. Just take that time and sit down and eat together.
Right, and I think what's always good about your material is it's non-judgmental in the sense that do whatever you think you can do.
And try to make
Everybody's
it work.
in a different
situation.
And what's really bad if people try to do too much too quickly, because then we feel defeated, we lose faith, and then we just throw never mind, this is never going to work.
And love begins at home. So just, don't worry about trying to convert the whole world. Just start at your dinner table. sit together, eat together, pray together.
Well, because I think one of the questions our Lord's going to have for you is going
Yes.
to be, how did your kids do?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I gave them to you
Right.
to put them in your care.
Right. We're supposed to raise
that's
those
your
little
primary responsibility.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. That's why
Exactly.
everything I do, Doug, is I'm trying to give the nourishment to the
Right.
parents. So if they don't know what to do, they could say, "Hey, let me use
Okay,
this."
let me
lesson."
get you some ideas. Maybe
Yeah.
some work, some don't.
Yeah.
And again, you don't have to do everything. You
Right.
say, allow this book to be the rumbly stomach.
Yeah.
Is that like rumbly in your tumbly
In other words,
from
I was
from
saying
Pooh Bear?
that sometimes you might forget to eat. If we forget
Right.
to eat, our stomach reminds us.
Reminding you to feed your children's souls.
Right, their souls. We need to feed their souls.
And you also say here, but don't forget to have fun with it too.
Right.
You don't have to follow in sort of order.
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
It's there, pick it up, use it. If you don't get to it, don't beat yourself up, but pick it up when you get a chance.
Right, don't make it an oppressive thing for you
Yeah,
to
exactly.
do.
Make it fun. Let the kids help with setting the table, doing a recipe, reading the prayer out loud, that kind of
Right,
thing.
right.
And it would bring the family together.
Okay, so very good. Besides feeding your family soul, you always have a book you're working on, so anything you can tell us?
Well, should I tell you?
Well, it's up to you.
Yeah, I would like to. I'm working on a book on Fatima for the 100th anniversary.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah, excited about it.
Okay, and what's different about your book on Fatima from your perspective?
Well,
what
making
do you
it
think
into
you're bringing to it?
it's really hard, to be better than Father
Right.
Andrew because he's the expert and I
Right.
love him. Well, he's writing the foreword.
Oh, okay.
But it's a devotional. It'll be a devotional, a way
Okay.
that we could really, pray the message.
Oh, great, because we're doing a lot with Fatima, a lot of events coming from
Yeah,
Fatima
because
as
it's
well.
the anniversary year.
Right, yeah, we started
This year with the Angels and
the
next-
Angels
next year.
Portugal, and now the next year. So it's a very exciting time
Yes.
to be involved with Catholic media, and of course
Yes.
Fatima, very, very popular apparition.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much,
Thank you,
Donna-Marie.
Doug. Thank
we look
you.
forward to that book as well. But this
you.
one is entitled "Feeding Your Family Soul: Dinner Table Spirituality," and it's available through the EWTN Religious Catalog.